I guess I am live. Hey, peace, y'all. So I just wanted to go live for a minute. Peace, I got. I just wanted to. Peace, Jamel. I just wanted to build on today's mathematics and just share some perspective. So today's math is understanding knowledge, and 3 represents understanding and 1 represents knowledge. Those are the principles. So we say, peace, we say that understanding knowledge borns culture or draws up to culture. In other words, the same way that 3 and 1 equals 4, understanding and knowledge equals culture. Well, how? When you think about culture, culture is the sum total of all of our people activities. It's our way of life, and those people activities consist of our language, our diet, our style of dress, how we approach child rearing, how we define relationships, how we view the environment, the life on this planet. All of those aspects of our way of life represents our culture. And the greatest indicator or the greatest evidence of our culture is what we understand and what we know. If you think about your own life in terms of your growth and development, wherever you were at that particular stage of your growth and development, your way of life reflects what you understood about yourself and the world around you, and what you knew about yourself and the world around you. I think back sometimes about being in high school back in the 90s, and I was a 3-letter athlete. I played basketball, I played football, and I ran track. And now in my 40s, and I think back on what I understood and what I knew at that point and how I was living, I probably wouldn't have been all into sports like that. I would have still been athletic, but the time that I invested in playing sports in high school, I would have took carpentry, I would have took horticulture, I would have learned auto mechanics, I would have took any kind of trade that I could have learned at that time, because now, as I'm older, I see and I know the value in those skills that I didn't have the understanding or the knowledge of when I was living at that particular time in my growth and development. So your culture is always going to be the greatest indicator or the greatest evidence of what you understand and what you know. And additionally, it's important to always recognize that wherever you're at in that level of growth and development, being a support system, being a sense of encouragement, and being patient with people is always important when it comes to that growth and development. Because think about yourself. Think about when you were at certain stages of your growth and development, how important it was for you to have support. Or if you didn't have that support, that's something that you would have loved to have at that particular stage in your growth and development. So wherever we're at in that stage of growth and development, whatever we understand and whatever it is what we know, it's always important to have others who are around you that have already gone through that particular process, that can offer us support and encouragement and have patience with us. Because even if we understand some things about ourselves or know certain things about ourselves at that stage in our growth and development, there are usually going to be others that have evolved past that stage, who can add on and be support to us, that can give us and show us some patience, because they can see where we're at in that stage of growth and development. Does that make sense to y'all? And I say that that's important because sometimes as we evolve and as we grow, some people can have the tendency to look at and judge others based upon where they're at in their life, you know, and may even devalue people based upon where they're at in their growth and development. And it's funny because if you're looking this way over here judging somebody, there's somebody behind you looking at the back of your head judging you too. You know, so so sometimes you may be at a certain stage in your growth and development, and you can be looking at yourself 10 years ago. You could be looking at a person making certain choices and decisions that you was making 10 years ago. So since you understand that and you know that, you can be a good support to this person. You can show this person to be more patient with themselves in terms of where they're at in their growth and development. You know, that's something in terms of our culture as a people throughout the diaspora that we've always had. We've always had that type of guidance and that type of encouragement, support, and patience from our elders. You know? True and good, true indeed. They're not there yet. We've always had that kind of support from our elders, and that's the importance of those intergenerational relationships. And that's one thing sometimes we see missing in a lot of our youth, and that's one reason why we may see so many flaws in the culture, or so many flaws in the way that they're living. Where are they getting support from? Besides some of the older generation just criticizing them and talking about how bad them kids is. Like, them kids ain't come from Mars. They somebody's children. Oh, they're our children. You know, that trips me out. A lot of times, like in the city that I'm at, you know, I see adults having these discussions about, oh man, these children, and they just, you know, they shooting and they violent and all this other shit, and they talking about these children as if they not ours. Like, y'all know who these children is. They're our family. They're not foreigners. They're not aliens from some other planet or something. They're our children. And when you don't have those intergenerational relationships, and you don't have that type of support, you're gonna see a culture that is not reflected as divinity or divine. You're gonna see destroy culture. You're gonna see something that's destructive. These youth refuse to reach back to the elders because of the judgmental attitudes they possess. True indeed. And here's the thing, Abacus. It's not really on the youth to reach back. It's on the elders to go and get these youth. You know what I'm saying? They're our children. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've seen people, and it may be like a father and a daughter or a son, and sometimes they expect the daughter or the son to constantly call the father and to check up on him, and it's like, no, you're the parent. You take the initiative. you understand and know more. You've lived a little longer. You know what I'm saying? So it's on us to take the initiative to be able to reach out to these youth and to share with them what we understand and what it is that we know. You know, I've been teaching youth in my city for like 20 years in different capacities, and I don't just sit back and wait for them to come to me and all this other stuff. If I'm driving down the street and I see some youth that's maybe doing something that I want to talk to them about, I park and get out and talk to them, or I just stop in the middle of the street and talk to them, like, yo, what's going on, you know, this, that, and the third. The other day I was at the park and there was a couple young boys acting like they was about to fight. They probably was about maybe 7 or 8 years old. I ain't know them or nothing like that, but I called them out on it, like, yo, what is y'all doing? Yo, don't do that. Yo, chill out, y'all. I ain't afraid to speak up or nothing like that, you know. And I understand some of our older generation are fearful of our younger generation, but hey, you know, when you are invested in the youth and you are maintaining and establishing these relationships, there's nothing to be afraid of, because they're going to respect the love that you share with them. And they know that you're not coming from a place of just criticizing them and telling them what they should or shouldn't do. You're coming from a place of love. And in order to come from that place, you have to be able to establish a relationship. You know? A lot of times the environment might have more control over them than the elders. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know? And you have to do everything that you can and do all within your power, you know. I'm a person that I don't like to live with regrets. Oh yeah, she's only 2 years old too. I don't like living with regrets or anything like that, so I do whatever I can so that I can sleep at night. And I don't just and you know, I've gotten older too, so my time is much more valuable than what I saw and knew it to be when I was younger. Going back to what I was saying initially, how I initially lived when I was younger in terms of my culture, my perspective of time was different. Now that I've gotten older, I see and I know time a lot different, and it may be times that I'm up at 2 in the morning doing research on something, or preparing some written statements for tomorrow, or doing other different things. Whereas maybe when I was younger, I might be coming in from the club at that time. You know? But yeah, our culture or our way of life is the greatest indicator or evidence of what we understand and what we know about ourselves and the world around us. And when we look back at ourselves in hindsight and we see how we were living at certain stages in our growth and development, the way we were living indicates what we understood and what we knew. And how we evolved along that process was based upon our understanding growing, us gaining more knowledge, as well as us having a type of support system or network and encouragement and patience from others around us. So it's important for us to offer the same thing to people today. And I say that because sometimes we could be very critical of where people are today in their growth and development. You know what I'm saying? And I have to remind myself of that sometimes, because there's things that I see people get enlightened to or awakened to. Like, I seen people learn things just last year in 2020 that I knew in 1989. You know what I mean? And they're just now learning that. That requires a lot of patience to deal with some people that's just learning something in 2020 that you knew in 1989 and that you've been living with consistently for all of these years, and you're at a different stage in your growth and development. You got to be patient with people like that. You also got to be encouraging and support them, because you have a greater insight into the trajectory that they're now on, based upon the knowledge that they've gained and what they understand right now. Always tell my knowledge seed, we are not the same person today that we were yesterday. At least we strive to progress. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what people need, you know. We need support, we need encouragement, and we need compliment sandwiches. That's one thing that I do with my students. I give them a compliment sandwich. And what that is I give them a compliment as the first slice of bread at the bottom. The inner part of the sandwich is the critique, something they could do a little better, and then I put the other slice of bread on the top with another compliment. So the way that it actually works is like this. If I want to talk to them about being more understanding of others, right? And not being so judgmental of others, I would have the conversation with them like this. I pull them aside and say, yo, thanks, y'all. And you have to be genuine about it and not be bullshitting people neither. You know what I'm saying? I pull them aside and say, yo, I appreciate how you were, helping out so-and-so in class. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that, because sometimes I'm not able to support everybody the way that I would like to, and it's good that I have you to be able to offer that type of support too, and also I think, when you're working with this person, they need a little bit more encouragement, and I think, you're already doing a great job with them. I think you would even do better with the type of support that you're giving them if you're a little bit more encouraging, when you're working with them on their math. And I know, it could be difficult, because sometimes I need that type of patience as well. But think about that though. You're doing a great job, and I think that you would even do a lot better if you would just be a little bit more encouraging with them. Now, you noticed I ain't say shit about, yo, you need to do this, you need to do that. If you notice, I didn't criticize them about nothing, right? And the way that I talk to them, they're more willing to receive it, because I'm not evaluating them, I'm appraising them. It's the same. The result is the same, but the way in which you define the process is different. So I'm not evaluating them, I'm appraising them. So that is something that I learned in time. When I was a little younger and I first started learning this culture and studying, I didn't necessarily have that level of refinement or skill set to be able to support people who were also striving to learn. It took me time to develop that. Going back to what I was saying initially, my way of life or my culture at that time was the greatest indicator or evidence of what I understood and what I knew. But as I evolved and as I grew, I realized that people need more support, encouragement, and patience. The same way that I needed support, encouragement, and patience. That's something that always increases in value over time. A baby needs support, encouragement, and patience. An elder needs support, encouragement, and patience. That's something that holds value throughout your entire lifespan or life cycle. So there's always value in that. So when we're talking about culture or our way of life, again, the greatest indicators of our way of life or how we're living is what we understand about ourselves and the world around us, and what we know about ourselves and the world around us. And not only is it important to be encouraging and to be supportive and to be patient with ourselves, but we also got to be able to offer that to other people. And that's one way that we can help bring more beauty to this world and repair some of the things that we see that's broken, because you just look at what you personally go through, and we go through things, and we are people who are well intended and invested in understanding and knowledge. We're very deliberate about the way in which we live, and we taking hits from this society. or we're constantly filtering propaganda or striving to make sense out of everything that's going on around us, and we're very intentional about what we understand and what we know. Think about the type of hits that people are taking, and they're not intentional about what they understand and what they know. Imagine the type of stress that they're dealing with and not even looking to understand or know nothing. It's evidenced in their culture. You can see how people are living. And if you can really see how people are living, then you should know, understand the knowledge, that the way of life that we live is based upon being able to support, encourage, and be patient with others. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that a little bit. And I don't really come on here much doing lies, but yeah, willfully y'all got something out of what it is that I had to share. So enjoy the rest of y'all evening, and peace.